Hello, everyone. I'm Dijon,
And I'm Aiara.
and welcome to the Mustacast, the podcast about the art of storytelling and how it's used across different mediums. Make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe if you want to see our channel grow, and to click the notification bell so that you're notified when we post. As usual, free Palestine. Do everything you can to support, and make this happen.
Yes.
Kamala's been getting weirder and weirder lately. She
Yeah.
started so strong, and now she's starting to mess up a little bit. I'm like, come on now. We need you to win, even though you're still not great for Palestine. You're better. Unfortunately, there's literally no other option. So,
Yeah.
you know, I want to hope.
Yeah.
I want to hope she does something. I want to hope,
Mhm.
but we'll have to see. Um,
Yeah.
so, what media have you been interacting with lately?
I got a couple. So I started playing Patapon, which is a rhythm it's like half rhythm game, half Pikmin. It's really weird. And like you use different rhythmical commands to like direct your little army. It's really cute and it's really fun, but it's really hard. They remastered the first two games and put them on like PSN Network, so they were free. So I'm like, let's try them, and they're good. Um, I watched the first episode of Twilight of the Gods. It was insane. You were right. Uh, but all the yeah, I wasn't expecting full frontal. That was kind of crazy, but it was a really good episode. So I have high hopes for the rest of the season. It's just kind of crazy to like see all the things that happened in that first episode. Uh, I
Yeah,
watched Johnny
you
Test.
expect that you expect that in like a live action show like this, but like not in like
Yeah,
an animated show.
animated. Yeah, it's like, whoa, hold on, where are we going with this? But it was good. It was a good episode, and I'm excited to see where it goes from here. I think I might watch the whole thing because I watched the first episode. It's kind of like a, just a tester, and I enjoyed it, so probably watch the rest. I also watched Johnny Test for some reason.
The original or the
And it
like the
is
reboot?
both. They're both bad, but the original is a special kind of bad that you don't get on TV anymore. It's like
Yeah,
the reboot is just like soulless.
God
The
man,
original is like
jo-
bad and it knows it's bad.
Johnny Test would be playing at all hours of every day on Cartoon Network.
For sure.
There
And
was
it's like I
always a
was
Johnny Test marathon. I'm like, bruh, play
I was
literally
watching this.
anything
Yeah.
else. But I also had it on DVD, and my little brothers like rewatched it over and over again all the time. I just
Mm,
could not escape Johnny Test
skip it.
when I was a
Yeah.
kid. I was like, oh my god, Johnny Test was. I enjoyed it when I watched it, but then it became too much.
Yeah. And it's like I know people exaggerate about the amount of sound effects in it that they use. It's really that bad. Like I was like, there's no way that it's actually that bad. People are probably just, dogging on it because it's a bad show.
It's the thing
No, it's
is,
they're
yeah, that's a show that's like you'd expect that show. That show was like ahead of its time. Like that is the type of humor
hmm,
that today's kids are into. But that show came
right.
out like 12 years ago. More than
Yeah.
that.
So like we weren't into it. Now the Gen Alpha would definitely be very into it for sure.
Well, we
Um
were into it because that show was immensely popular. There's a reason marathons were
yep.
always playing.
It's happening. Yeah. But it's like they would be like more like way more into it, he thinks. Like getting it revived or something like that type stuff. But I've also been watching the Great British Bake Off to strive to be a better baker. That I bumbled that all the way up. To strive to be a better baker myself. Been watching what they've been doing on there, and I'm like, they're kind of cooking. And then I write down the stuff that they do so I can try it out on my own time. It's fun. It's very stressful, but a lot less stressful than like those American competition cooking shows because it's like they're really nice to each other, all things considered.
Versus the American ones, they'd be
Uh,
yelling at each other.
yep.
You got I was about to say James Gordon, like he was goddamn Commissioner Gordon from Batman. Gordon Ramsay, yelling at people.
Yeah, they're yelling at each other. The judges are yelling at the. It's just too much, too much. I've been playing a lot of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game, Shredder's Revenge. I've been playing that a lot with the girlfriend, and that's been really nice. So it's a fun game. I like the way it looks,
Yeah,
and
it's
I like the way
just
it plays.
it's a good game to just play with people. I've played that game so many times
Hmm.
because I played it through twice with my little brother, and then I've been playing it on hard mode with my friends whenever they come over. So yeah, I
Hmm.
played that game a lot.
Yeah, it plays really nicely. It's really easy to pick up and play. I think that's the part I enjoy about it the most. You can just pick it up. It's not like a whole bunch of hullabaloo like most other side scrolling beat 'em ups. Pick it up. The moves are easy. It's fun. It's good fun.
Yeah, I need a new X-Men beat 'em up.
Same. They would make bank because I would buy it 3 times. Um.
I actually
mhm.
paid for the DLC on both Xbox and PlayStation because it's on PlayStation Network, which I assume that's how you're playing
It
it.
is.
And it's
Yep.
also on Xbox Game Pass. So I originally played it
Oh.
with my brother on Xbox Game Pass because at the time, well, I was you can share like Game Pass across 2 accounts. So
Hmm.
me and him played it up together through our accounts on Xbox, but then I would
Hmm.
play it on PlayStation with my friends in person. So I ended up
Right.
purchasing the DLC on both, so that
Makes sense. Makes
I
sense.
could have Usagi and Karai.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense. Well, that makes sense. We might get the DLC. I'm not unsure. I'm maining April right now. I really like the way she plays. It's great.
Leo's my guy. He's my favorite turtle, and he's also the most fun to play as in the game as well.
Real. Real. I watched a little bit of Over the Garden Wall because it's the fall time and now is the time to do that. Only got about 2 episodes in. We're probably gonna do a marathon at some point during, if not in October, then like early November. It's a tradition that we do, and it's fun. And it's still just as good as it was the first time I watched it. But my big one that I want to talk about is Look Back. I saw it in theaters and I
Man,
cried.
I had a feeling you were gonna see it. I missed because I had 2 alarms happening at the same time, so they canceled
Uh-huh.
each other out.
Out.
So
Oh
I had an alarm
man.
set for 5 o'clock after work on Monday to let me
Uh-huh.
know to go and see it at 7 o'clock. And then by the time I realized that I needed to go, I only had 30 minutes, and I was like, I'm not gonna make it. So I was just
Mm.
like, damn, I'm not gonna be able to see it. I'm gonna have to wait till it's on streaming
I mean,
because I
yeah,
really
I
wanted
will
to see
say
it, and I would have gone and seen it if that alarm actually went off when it was supposed to. But I had two
yeah.
alarms happening at the same time, so yeah, it was messed up.
Yeah, yeah, we caught the Sunday showing out Towson at like 3:40. And it was really
Yeah,
good. Like I said, I cried.
I should have saw it on Sunday, but for some reason I thought that my ticket for Kiki's delivery service was that day, but it's actually
Hmm.
like the 26th.
Oh.
But for some reason I also had it scheduled on my calendar on the 6th. And I don't remember.
Hmm.
I think that was to remind me to set an actual alarm for the 26th, but
Right.
like I don't know. It was just confusing. So I thought I was already going to go see a movie that day. So I got tickets
Hmm.
for Monday instead. So if I got it
Right.
Sunday, I would have seen it because it would have been Sunday. I'm not working. But yeah, I'm
Right.
mad because I wanted to see it. But I wish it
Is
was in
it?
theaters longer.
I was going to say, yeah, I won't give any spoilers, but it was really good.
I mean, I've
And this
read it.
I hadn't read. Yeah, I didn't read it. That was the thing. I went in
Oh,
completely
I thought you'd
blind.
read it.
Yeah. No, we have the manga in our house. I just never got around to reading it before we went to go see it. I meant to and then forgot. But I think I liked it better seeing it without having read the manga because I don't think I would have cried if I would have read the manga first.
Oh yeah,
But
it's real good.
uh, yeah, I'm gonna definitely read it soon. I need some time to process the grief.
Yeah, dang, I wish I would have saw it.
Yeah,
Then we could have talked about it. But well, I guess
it's okay.
I did read it, so we could still talk about it. But we can talk about that
We
later.
could. Yeah. That's all I've got.
Yeah, for me, haven't watched as many horror movies as I want to because I don't know why, but this month I just have not been watching TV or playing games during the week.
I
During the
feel it. Me
week,
too.
I'm doing like a October art challenge for the first time in a long time, and I'm doing an X-Men one,
Hmm.
and I've been drawing
Ooh,
every day, almost.
nice.
And yeah, I'm like, what is it? We're like 13 days in. I think I'm a day behind, but like, um, if I if you were to go to my Instagram, you would see them all. I've drawn a bunch of X-Men. It's
Mm,
been real fun. I'm drawing more on my tablet
nice.
than I ever have. And yeah, it's been fun.
That's
So yeah,
great.
because of that, I would just after work I would eat dinner, then I would draw, work out, and then I would just go lay down and read because
Mm,
I'm reading Mistborn
mm,
by Brandon Sanderson. It's so good. Oh my god,
mm, mm.
it is so good. I only recently, well, I've always heard the name in passing, and like I would see it
Right.
like whenever I open a Kindle app, it would just like some Brandon Sanderson books would be there. But recently I was watching Blind Wave like I always am, and they have a show called Mailbag where they open stuff from their PO box, and somebody sent them like every Brandon Sanderson book. So they
Oh
started.
wow.
So only one of the people in the crew knew about the author and started talking about him. I was like, you know what, I should look this guy up because recently I've been just thinking about how I want to read some more fantasy books because there's a lot of
Mm,
really good fantasy books out there, but I only stick to like the more popular ones.
for sure.
So I wanted to branch out a little bit. So I just read his Wikipedia page, and I was just like, "Oh, this dude sounds cool." And then, I looked up like, where should I start? And everybody said Mistborn. So I read the something that's great about Kindle is that you can read previews, and the previews are pretty lengthy.
Mm,
Um,
mm.
so you can get pretty, not super deep in the book, like usually a single chapter, but like that's enough for you to
No, that's I
decide.
was gonna say that's more than a
Like,
lot of
yeah, it's
places.
the usually the first chapter of the book, and that's more than enough for you to get into the book and determine whether or not you like it or not. So I always do that, and yeah, I liked it a lot. So now I'm on like chapter 13, and I'm halfway through the
Ooh,
book, or
nice.
chapter 14 actually, and yeah, it's real good. He's known for kind of revolutionizing, and maybe that's not the right word, but like in a lot of ways revolutionizing the way people think about writing fantasy. Um,
Hmm.
he, so like yeah, it's been real fun to read, and I definitely see why he's touted as being the father of modern fantasy writing.
Makes sense.
And he
Makes
writes a
sense.
lot. He has so many books in such a short period of time. So yeah, it's been real good so far. I forgot how I got there because there's something else I want to talk about. Oh, horror movies. Tonight I'm going to watch Friday the 13th Part 3.
Nice.
But like, yeah, I just need to start watching stuff during the weekday so I can actually watch horror movies this month. I plan on watching Hereditary because that was a movie that I feel like interested me back around when it was coming out, but I just never got around to
Mhm.
watching it. Um, so I'm finally gonna sit down and watch Hereditary.
Nice.
I'm
Oh,
gonna
you reminded
I'm
me.
gonna watch Long
Oh, go.
Legs, which
Ooh.
recently was in theaters not too long ago, and
Mhm.
I hear mixed reviews, but I also hear people compare it to like Alan Wake, and I've talked about Alan
Mhm.
Wake before about how it's like a game series that doesn't interest me, but I would
Mhm.
like it a lot more if it was like a movie or a show.
Movie.
So like
Yeah.
hearing that this is like Alan Wake makes me go, okay, that sounds interesting. I'm not interested in playing the games, but I'd be interested in watching an adaptation of those.
Right.
So I'm interested in that movie. I know was it Nick Cage is in it.
Hmm.
And there was another one, but I can't remember what it was. It might have been Nightmare on Elm Street Part Two because I watched Part One like a couple years back, but I never got around to watching Part Two. Um, there was something else, but I can't remember what it was. Oh, Barbarian. That's another
Mm.
movie I wanted to see in theaters. Never got around to seeing in theaters, and was supposed to watch with a friend, and then it just the time we were supposed to hang out kept falling through, so I still haven't seen it yet. So I'm just gonna watch it by myself.
Makes sense.
Um, so yeah, those are the ones I plan on watching at the very least.
Hmm.
You about to say something?
Oh yeah, you reminded me. I watched the killing slaying of a sacred deer.
Hmm.
It was insane.
What's that?
Good and crazy. It's a A24 movie. How do I describe this plot? Because it's insane. There's this dude. He's a surgeon, but he's also an alcoholic. And he does surgery on this guy's father. Uh, the guy in question is played by Barry. I'm gonna butcher this last name.
Kogan?
Kugan.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yep. And he kills the guy, Barry's father, and so he gets cursed, and his children are slowly dying from said curse, and the only way to stop it is to kill one of them by his own hand.
Hmm.
And so the whole movie is like him grappling with which child he wants to get rid of.
That's insane.
It's so insane, but it was really good. I liked it.
That's God testing this man.
Yeah.
Um, so recently I started getting into to Leve's music, and I also
He's
learned
great.
that I've been pronouncing Laufey wrong my entire life.
Yeah.
Um, because I would always because in Greek mythology Laufey is Loki's mother, which
Mm.
I'm also never mind. Never mind. I was about to spoil God of War. Never mind. But I was about to say a big God of War spoiler, but I don't know if you plan on playing it, and yeah, never mind. But I realized
Mm.
something surrounding that name. But yeah, I've been pronouncing that character's name wrong my entire life, and even Leve
Mm.
isn't technically correct. It's the American pronunciation of it because like the Nordic pronunciation is like has like just letters and sounds that just we aren't used to making in the English language. So.
Like bottle stop or something.
But like yeah, I was just on YouTube, and I think I came across some random what do they call them, reels, or is that Instagram? Shorts.
They're shorts, yeah.
I always confuse them, but
Same.
of like her in some interview, and she talks about how she pronounces her name. And then I came across Tiny Desk performance she did, and I watched that, and I was like, you know what, this is my type of music. I always hear her music in like, like TikToks that are reposted on like Instagram and YouTube that I see. But you know what? Let me actually sit down and listen to her music, other than that one popular song of hers. And yeah, I listened to her most recent album. I think it was her most recent album, Bewitched, and yeah, it's good music.
Yeah, Lady's great.
Finished up Space Marine.
Nice.
I had to force myself to sit down and play it every weekend until I finished it. It was fun. I don't know when I'm gonna get around to playing Space Marine 2, if I'm being honest. One day, maybe whenever my friend gets it and we can play it in multiplayer. That's when I'll play it. I finished up Astro Bot. I'll talk about that way later. It'll literally be the last thing I talk about. So if you're here waiting to hear me talk about Astro Bot, it's gonna be at the very end. You can skip to that. Still watching Penguin. New episode coming out tonight. Excited for that.
Nice.
Superman the anime series. I'm close to finishing up the first season, but it'll be a couple weeks too, because I only watch I watch 2 episodes every week, but one is where I'm at in the series, and the other one is where Blind Wave is at in the series. Which they just wrapped up the first season, so I'm about to start the second season again, and I'm close to the end of the third season, which is the final season. Spectacular Spider-Man. Watching that with Blind Wave as well, and they're close to finishing that up. Vox Machina is out.
Right. I haven't gotten a chance to watch it yet.
Yes, 6 episodes are out. I was gonna remind you, but I was like, they'll watch it when they watch it.
I knew. I think for me, I just I want to wait until the whole thing is out so I can binge it.
Sure. I like watching stuff week to week.
I get impatient.
But yeah, Vox Machina is great. But they also released 3 episodes at once. DanDaDan. Also, we'll talk about that later. Same with ReZero and Bleach. So just, well, actually, there was something I want to say about Superman the Anime Series before moving on to animation.
Okay.
Or I guess this could just be part of the animation segment. So the episode before last, we got the origin of Green Lantern Kyle Rayner. And this origin is a mix of Hal Jordan's with some original elements, where Kyle Rayner in this is an artist working for the Daily Planet, drawing covers for the newspaper, but he wants to be more. The Hal Jordan's origin is when Green Lantern is dying, crashes on Earth, his ring goes to Hal, and essentially what happens with Kyle, even though that's not how it happens in the comics, which I'll talk about later, because of this, I ended up reading some Green Lantern comics with Kyle Rayner, so I'll talk about his actual origin later. But moving on to animation, so more Cartoon Network shows have been removed from Max.
I heard
Chowder, Regular Show, The Amazing World of Gumball, We Bare Bears, and Steven Universe. All very popular shows that did extremely well during their time, but they're being removed from Max to avoid having to pay royalties to the people who worked on those shows, and as a tax write-off, of course.
Terrible.
Because they're being cheap as hell.
Yeah.
They will likely sell the streaming rights to some other streaming service, likely Netflix, because that way they can make some money off of it. But it still sucks that all of these WB cartoons are being split off like this, when previously we could watch just any WB cartoon from Cartoon Network or from the past all in one place. Like when HBO Max first came out, it was amazing. It was such a good streaming service. You had all of the Looney Tunes. You had every Cartoon Network cartoon under the sun was on there, and Adult Swim shows, and a bunch of classic older movies were on there as well, on top of all of the Studio Ghibli movies that are still on there as well, thankfully.
Right.
But it sucked that they're all splitting off like this. We're lucky that we still got Ghibli, and was it Boy and the Heron was added recently. So if anybody out there you haven't seen that, it's on HBO. Yeah, this sucks. For all of Disney's faults, at least they hold on to their stuff. All of their stuff is still on Disney Plus, and I don't imagine Disney is ever going to put it out anywhere else.
Yeah.
David Zaslav really came in and just destroyed what was an extremely a company with a really high reputation. Like WB was doing very well mid-pandemic before he came in and ruined it. It I can't believe it. I can't believe one person came in and ruined a company that was doing that
Everything.
everybody liked like so quickly. It was crazy. Um, another big strike is inevitable for animation,
Yeah,
and I hope that it results in some huge change. I sent you a trailer for an Adult Swim show called Invincible
you
Fight
did.
Girl.
You did.
Um, in a world that revolves entirely around wrestling, a young girl sets out on a globe-trotting journey to chase her dream of becoming the greatest wrestler of all time. It premieres November 2nd with 2 episodes at midnight on Adult Swim and next day on Max. The animations and art style, they look great. It looks
Hmm.
fun. I'll check it out. I'm always here to support black business, especially when it's
Yep,
a cartoon or a game. I still need to
for sure.
finish. Why am I forgetting the name of that game? Made by a dude who I watch on a podcast a lot.
I know who you're talking about. I can't remember what it's called either.
Tales of Kenzera Zao. That's the game.
Yeah.
And a guy who made it, he's on a podcast that I listen to a lot.
Mm.
Yeah. Always here to support black animation because no one's gonna make us the main characters. We have to do it ourselves.
Right. Yeah.
I'm watching Tomb Raider: The Legend of Lara Croft on Netflix.
Ooh.
That finally came out, and it's just as good as the trailers make it seem. The animation by Powerhouse, the studio behind Castlevania and Blood of Zeus, is
Mhm.
better than it's ever been. Likely because this show is produced by Legendary Pictures, so they probably got a lot more money for this project than any other project they've worked on. The basic synopsis of the story is that Lara Croft confronts her traumatic past while unraveling an ancient mystery, which is pretty much
Mm.
every Tomb Raider game.
Yeah.
um, and the tragic past that they allude to in the first few episodes had me a little confused because they looked like they were flashbacks from the events of the first game in the Crystal Dynamics reboot trilogy, which I played years ago. So I looked up if this was canon and got a very interesting answer. Um, so, according to Berer Noor at The Escapist,
Hmm.
showrunner Tasha Howe, in a pre-release promo video, The Legend of Lara Croft is part of a wider initiative by Survivor Trilogy developer Crystal Dynamics to merge its canon with that of the first 6 Tomb Raider titles. Um, the team at Crystal Dynamics is hard at work unifying the timelines of Tomb Raider, and we are so excited to be a part of that effort, she said. Howe added that the Netflix show would provide some of the first steps towards unifying the Tomb Raider timelines as we transition beyond the Survivor trilogy and start to follow Laura's journey, leading up to the first
Ooh.
steps of the Tomb Raider game. So, in effect, The Legend of Lara Croft bridges the original and most recent canon. Um,
Nice.
this is interesting because I wonder how they're gonna do this. A while back they announced that they're making a new Tomb Raider game. And
Mm.
showed a little promo image of a version of because in the original games, early on this caused a bit of a problem amongst some people, and I can only imagine if it happened today how much worse it would be. Where like people were upset about her design in the current trilogy, about how
Right.
she's not as sexy or whatever, even though she's still a very beautiful woman.
Yeah.
And yeah, this is meant to be early in her career according to that article. And in that promo image that they showed before, she was in something outfit that was much closer to her classic design, where she has the shades, she's wearing the tank top, and
Mm.
and is wearing shorts, and I think she has like 2 pistols. So it's like they're slowly making like which every which excuse me with every game in this trilogy they've like gotten closer and closer to that look. Like in the third
Mm.
game, she's wearing a green tank top. So like I guess slowly
We're getting there.
they're building up to it. But I'm probably gonna play the second game, Rise of the Tomb Raider, because I haven't played anyone other than the first one. I played a little bit of the third
Mm.
one because it was like one of PlayStation's like monthly games, so I um
Hmm.
downloaded it and I played a little bit of it, and then I didn't really enjoy it, so I stopped. But
That's real.
I got Tomb Raider in my blood right now. The only problem is my mind keeps going, but Deshaun, you gotta finish Persona 3. Metaphor just came out, and you still haven't
Oh
finished
yeah.
Persona 3. Who only God knows when I'm gonna play Metaphor. That game I hear is very long. So,
But it looks really good.
but I plan on like was it making it to the third to last of the big whatever shadows I have to fight in
Oh,
Persona.
the full moon ones.
Yeah, so
Mm.
I'm close. Uh,
Nice.
The game's like 60, 65 hours, and I'm like 45 hours in. So, I'm getting there. My
Yeah.
goal is to try to because I talked about before about how I regret buying a year's worth of Xbox Game Pass this year because I didn't use it as much as I thought I would because I was playing other games.
Right.
Because was a Final Fantasy came out, and I remember telling you earlier this year, I'm playing Persona, but as soon as Final Fantasy comes out, Persona's dead to me.
Yeah,
And
Persona's
that is exactly what happened.
happened. Yep.
And then I think another game came out that probably took my attention as well, and I can't remember what it was. But I just for like half of the year I wasn't playing it, so it's like that year's worth of Game Pass kind of went to waste. And now I'm like, well, should I just buy the game at this point, or should I
probably.
just keep playing it on Game Pass until I finish it? Because there are other games I plan on playing on Game Pass, so it's like it depends on. So it's pretty much if I don't beat it by the end of the year, I'll buy it, but otherwise, I'll try and beat it before the year's over.
Makes sense.
But way off track. Tomb Raider. I'm playing Rise of Tomb Raider through Game Pass as well. And yeah, the show's real good. I'm interested to see how they bridge the two timelines because the current trilogy, or the Survivor trilogy as they call it, takes place in like modern day. And this show takes place after that trilogy. And the old games, like I guess like you can't really tell what time those games takes place, but at the same time, it's like, are they gonna remake those games? I'm curious about like how they plan on tying the two timelines. It's interesting undertaking.
Yeah.
But I do think that maybe they could do something like rather than like remake in the sense of like a Resident Evil or something like that. They do like I don't know. There aren't any games I can use as a comparison. So instead I'm gonna use Star Wars. They can do a remake the same way that like Star Wars The Force Awakens is a remake of A New Hope, where it shares a lot of similar character archetypes and story beats and tells a very similar story, but at the same time it's different. It's still a sequel. They could do that with this where like they like remake the first game in a lot of ways, but the story is still different and the characters, there are new characters that weren't there before. Like I feel like they could do something really interesting that way and lead into a remake of the first 6 games in that way, but at the same time they're new games. I don't know if that's confusing, but yeah, I could see them doing something like that and eventually making their way back around to just remaking the first game. I'm interested to see what the next game they make is going to be like. Same. But also watching Vox Machina, as I mentioned earlier. 6 episodes in, and it's great so far. A lot of romance subplots are coming to a head, and Scanlan's subplot with his daughter is going in a very interesting direction. And it's low key.
All about that.
It's hit me in the feels as a person with an estranged father. So it's getting good. Like paternal stuff always gets me. It always gets me. So without spoiling it, at one point, a demon does a stone cold stunner on a dragon, and it was one of the most insane things I've ever seen in my life. For those of you who don't know, just look up Stone Cold Stunner. It's a move that Stone Cold does. Stone Cold Steve Austin, the wrestler. And I saw it immediately. It was like, I didn't just see. That's not what just happened, is it? And it was. And I rewinded it several times because I was like, there's no way. And it was almost as good as Godzilla suplexing King Kong. But also watching DanDaDan, 2 episodes in so far. And the animation by Saru, who also animated Scott Pilgrim Takes Off and Devilman Crybaby, is incredible. They're killing it. And like I said when I read the first 3 chapters, the show gets weirdly sexual in the way that anime does sometimes. And I don't know how that's going to fly in today's climate. I was watching the normies react to it, and one of them just had a face of disgust on his. He just had a look of disgust on his face for like a third of the episode. He was just like, it looked like the video had frozen. He was just sitting completely still with the same expression on his face for like 10 minutes. It was insane.
Sounds insane.
But like, it depends on how they do it and how much they do stuff like this going forward, on whether or not it like starts to turn me off. Like, because like while what happened in the first episode was creepy, it was creepy in a purposeful way because it was involving aliens. So it's like you'll watch it
Mhm.
if you once you get around to watch, you'll probably see it and be like, this is weird, but it's like I get it. But like, hopefully, it never gets like Soul Eater's level of weird.
Yeah.
So far, there's no pervert characters yet. I'm like I said, only 2 episodes in, so who knows? With the
Right.
anime like this, there might be one. I hope there isn't. I don't want to put that out into the world. Um,
Yeah.
a pervert character in a show like this would probably be the worst thing ever. I really hope that isn't the case. But I am enjoying it so far. I suggest checking it
That's
out.
good.
I want to read the manga, but at the same time, I'm like, I don't want to spoil the show for myself, so I'm just watching.
Right. Makes sense.
Maybe after the first season, I'll start reading it. There's something else I was gonna say about the show. Can't remember. I am also watching the remake of Ranma One Half, which is
How is it?
on Netflix. Whoa, now I remember. I wanted to mention DanDaDan is on Netflix, right?
Yes.
But I purchased Crunchyroll to watch it. And now I immediately regret it. Like, well, now I gotta I gotta watch One Piece now because I was like,
Right.
I have Crunchyroll, I have to use it, and I'm only gonna have it this month because there's one other thing I'm watching on it, but I don't think I'm gonna keep it to continue watching that thing. But
Makes sense.
yeah, Down to Dance on Netflix. So is Rama One Half.
Mhm.
And I see why it's a cult classic. Mappa is killing it in all their overworked glory on the animation. The art style is nothing like they've ever made. Like you've seen the trailer. It looks real good, and it does not look. You wouldn't assume that it was animated by Mappa. Granted, of course, they're
Right.
animators. Their whole thing is to be chameleon, to be able to work in any art style. But like, it's very different from
Yeah.
any style that they've ever done before. Yeah, it's incredible. It's very vibrant, and the fight choreography is great. Maybe this will get me
Nice,
into some
nice.
more shoujo because I don't read a lot of shoujo.
Yeah.
So the other anime on Crunchyroll that I started watching is ReZero. Have you ever seen ReZero?
Mm. I have seen like the first episode of it. It wasn't for me.
Yeah, understandably. I'm not even sure if it's still for me because I enjoyed it back when I was watching it, but now I'm watching it again. I'm like, you know what? Maybe I don't like this show. So it's back after like 2 years, I think. And
Really?
they deserve to be on the chopping block alongside Tower of God because they did not have a recap, and it's been so long. Like I was like, I don't remember. I barely remember anything. I didn't remember anything Tower of God at all. But this one, I at least remembered some things, but like a lot happened. So I was like, I'm gonna watch it and hope that they have something at some point that reminds me of what happened in the last 2 seasons. And
Mm.
they did, and
Did they?
my memory was jogged. Um, on a lot of things. So I'm not as confused as I was in like the first 13 minutes of the show. um,
Good.
but it's one of the better isekai out there. No hate to the genre. It's not usually for me. I'm not into the whole harem thing that they usually go for. And this kind of like there definitely still is a harem 100%, but it's like they try to like tackle the tropes in a different way that I thought was really fun when I first watched it. Kind of subvert them a little bit, and I'm starting to realize that maybe there are too many lolis in this show for my liking.
Mm.
Cause one, I'm like, little girl, actually 100 years old. As long as nobody's like trying to date this child, technically century-year-old character, but
Right.
either way, it's weird.
It's like it's weird.
It's weird. That's enough. But then like, there's this other creature that I think is just like a different race. And maybe is one of those situations where they're just a different race and that's why they're small. But it's hard to say. And I can't tell if they're trying to be friendly with this other character or if it's a romantic thing. And I'm like, I don't know what's happening anymore. And like, I don't know if I like the show anymore. Like, I think it's the same thing that happened to Tower of God is happening to me right now, where it's been so long and I like forgot so much stuff. Like I forgot why I like the show. So now I
Mm.
don't think I like it anymore because I just don't remember what about the show that I liked, and
Right.
I'm now only noticing things that I don't like. So I'm gonna finish the first episode, which is unfortunately an hour and 30 minutes. Luckily I was a second episode came out, and thank God it's only 23 minutes. Because I was like, I
Okay.
swear to God, if every episode is this long, I'm not watching the show.
It's like watching an hour of ReZero? Who wants an hour of ReZero?
But like, yeah, I'm gonna finish this episode and see if something recaptures my interest. Otherwise, if not, I'm just gonna watch One Piece until the month is up and try to catch up with One Piece. Weirdly enough, Netflix has the most recent arc of One Piece, but they don't have like
everything that comes before it.
No, they have like, I forget where they stop at, but like there's like 3 arcs in between that they're missing from the most recent arc and like the arc before those 3 arcs. It's real weird because I was like, otherwise I just watch One Piece on Netflix. But like, yeah, I'm gonna catch up on One Piece and then I'll probably start watching on Netflix. Actually, there's no comment. I'm not gonna say I'm gonna catch up on it. I'm going to watch more One Piece. Whether or not I catch up is up to God.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know if I like the show anymore. I don't even like it. It has to remind me why I like it because I remember really liking it, but now I'm not so sure. But speaking of shows that I really like, last but certainly not least, the GOAT has returned. Bleach is back in all of its beautifully animated glory by Studio Pierrot, and I can't really say much other than that it's good because I don't want to spoil it for you. Have you watched Bleach? Right. Have you read it?
I read like the first volume of the manga many moons ago when I was a young individual in the library. Never got past the first volume, and I've never watched the anime, but I've heard many good things from both you and a lot of other people about Bleach, and I've been meaning to get into it now that I'm older and can appreciate it better.
Yeah, I'd always suggest reading it because this is an anime from like 2002. So the pacing is abysmal. It's not good. So I would just like read it and then watch the 1,000 Year Blood War arc because the 1,000 Year Blood War arc was made like years after the manga ended. So like they don't have to like there's no need for padding to try and let the manga catch up. They're just animating it and adding more information because Kubo didn't really get to write that final arc the way he wanted to. So it's real good. The animation is so good. It's better than the series has ever been in terms of animation. So yeah, it's good. I honestly really want Studio Pierrot to remake the entire show, or everything up before the 1,000 Year Blood War arc in the same style as the 1,000 Year Blood War arc. I think that would be really cool. Because just like One Piece, Naruto, like I said, early Bleach has horrible pacing, and it could use the Dragon Ball Z Kai treatment, like One Piece is getting, I think, next year. So yeah, that's all I got for animation. What about you?
Yeah, besides Twilight of the Gods, I haven't really.
Yeah, you. Let's talk about Don't Look Back.
Oh yeah, Look Back. Yes. So first of all, it was gorgeous movie. One thing I really enjoyed about it is they did this thing where it's like they left in kind of that like sketchy style when animators are doing in-betweens. So it's like it looked very messy, but it was very purposefully messy. And like I really enjoyed that like style it gave where it's like unfinished draft kind of thing, but not in a way where it looks lazy. Like I said, I cried. The story was really good, and it like got me. I was in a really bad like creative slump. I was like, what's the point? Like I don't feel confident in creating anymore. And then like there's a line at the end that really got me, and I'm like, oh, bet. And it really like it gave me a kick in the pants to start like doing stuff again, which I really appreciated. I liked it a lot.
Part of this story was inspired by a real life tragedy that happened of an arson attack at a animation studio in Japan, Kyoto Animation, in 2019, which killed 36 people and injured 34. And in Look Back, it was an ex murderer instead. And you said that was the part that you cried at.
It was. So like I said, spoilers for Look Back again. But the thing, I had gotten a couple death flags from the other girl. I forgot her name, the one with the beauty mark. And I went to see it with my girlfriend, and I turned to her and I was like, she doesn't die, does she? She was like, no. And then she died, and I could have crashed out in that movie theater. Because like I was like, this feels like they're too close. They're too friends. It feels like she's going to die. And the girlfriend was like, no, she's not going to die. What are you talking about? It's a one shot. That's Fujimoto would never. And I shouldn't have trusted her to begin with.
Fujimoto would never.
Fujimoto would.
Of course Fujimoto would.
But I was like, this is like grounded in more reality than Chainsaw Man and Fire Punch, surely. And then she died, and I sobbed so bad.
Yeah, it's real
Just,
good. The story is interesting because like the premise is like this one girl draws like comics for like her school newspaper or something like that.
mhm,
And then there's another little antisocial girl that also draws that I think like the teacher introduces them, and then she gets jealous of of her because she's a better artist, and then she works real hard
mhm.
to get better at art, and then eventually she does. She's like in a
Yeah.
position where she's like further along in her career than the person she was competing with, and they became good friends along the way, and then she dies.
Mhm. Yeah.
It's so sad.
I think, and like between like her dying and then her friend Fujino is the one that did the 4 coma at first. Between like the actual death itself and then Fujino having to go back to her house to collect her items, which meant they were really, really close. That I think hurt me the most. Like that implication of closeness without actually showing it. Sad
Yeah.
movie. So sad, but so good.
Yeah, I'm mad that I didn't get a chance to see it. I'll have to wait till it's on streaming somewhere.
It was really well animated. Definitely worth the watch.
Yeah, I'll definitely make sure I put that spoiler tag.
Mm-hmm.
But moving on to well, actually, before we move on to comics, did you watch read the other one shot that did you want to make?
Yeah, Naruto of the Stars. That's one of my favorite ones of his.
Yeah, if this one got animated, I hope that one does too. That one's pretty good.
I really, yeah, same because it's good and it's relevant to Chainsaw Man. Somebody get on that.
Yeah. Um, moving on to comics. I actually have a lot. So
Mm,
starting with Green Arrow Year One, a retelling of the origin of Green Arrow. That's a great starting point for anyone thinking of getting into the character. Which
mm-hmm.
I think, I don't know. This might be my first Green Arrow comic. It might not be. I've read a lot of random comics when I was a kid, and I think Green Arrow was probably one of them. Then from there, I hopped into Jeff Lemire's New 52 run on Green Arrow,
Mm-hmm.
which has been pretty good so far, with some really, really good art by Andrea Sorrento. They use a lot of like um, shadows to in their drawing. It's very
Mm-hmm.
interesting, and they do a lot of moments where like they have like panels in black and white surrounded by panels full of color. That's really fun, and they're really
Ooh,
limited in their use of color. I forget who the colorist on the book is. I would have to look that up, but like yeah, the colorist also does a great job. But sticking on the grain train, Kyle Rayner, Green Lantern Volume One.
yep.
I also started reading that because of his episode in Superman the Animated Series, and it
Nice, nice.
collects Kyle Rayner's early stories, starting from his origin, and it's pretty good so far. I'm liking it a lot, and probably also a decent place to start Green Lantern. This isn't my first Green Lantern comic, but it's my first time sitting down deciding like I'm gonna read a Green Lantern comic all the way through. And his origin starts with the destruction of the Green Lantern Corps in an infamous arc, um, leaving Kyle as the last Green Lantern and having to learn how to be
Mm.
a Green Lantern all on his own. This is from the
Mm-hmm.
'90s. Really good comic arc. I don't want to spoil, but it's the how the story starts off with a previous Green Lantern story about how the Green Lantern Corps was destroyed, and then it goes to the Kyle Rayner stuff, and it's real good.
Sounds good.
But this is also where the fridging happens. For
Uh,
those who don't know, fridging is a term used in storytelling to refer to when a loved one, usually a woman, is hurt, killed, maimed, assaulted, or otherwise traumatized in order to motivate another character, usually a man, and move their plot forward. It basically describes how female characters are often used to used solely as a prop for a male character storyline, which nowadays not so much, but back in
but
'90s for sure. Um,
yeah, and didn't it come from
well, that's
comic
what I'm
books
getting from.
specifically because
The
of?
the
Yep. Okay.
origin of
Okay.
that term comes from none other than Green Lantern number 54, when Kyle Rayner comes home to find his girlfriend, Alex, dead and stuffed into a refrigerator.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know a lot of
I
people
saw those
don't know
panels.
that.
It
Yeah,
was
I know a
terrible.
lot of people don't know that. They just say it all the time. They don't realize, nah, this comes from comic books.
Mm-hmm.
um, and it sucks because I initially was like, man, Alex, so cool. I hope nothing bad happens to her. And then I remembered that
Oh.
this is where that trope originated from. And with every chapter, I waited with bated breath for it to happen. And when it did, I was sad because she was so cool. I was just like, I like this girl, man. I hope she's all good and well. And then she wasn't. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, hopefully they pull some comic book shenanigans and bring her back at some point. The term fridging was invented by the incomparable Gail Simone, easily the most prolific woman comic writer alive. Most famous for her run on Birds of Prey, and not so coincidentally, she also wrote the Black Canary focused episodes of Justice League Unlimited.
Hmm.
Yeah, shout out Gail Simone.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get around to reading her Wonder Woman run at some point, because George Perez, he wrote that comic for like 10 years, so it's gonna be a while. But
Yeah.
before I get there, but she'll be next after I finish that. But before then, I'll probably start reading her Birds of Prey at some point. But yeah, Green Lantern Kyrian is good, fridging bad.
Yeah.
um, Ultimate Black Panther number 8. In the latest battle in Wakanda's war against Khonshu and Ra, T'Challa is injured by a blade through the leg, and when he awakens,
Oh,
he discovers that he has a psychic connection to with vibranium and calls the blade to him, sending it flying through the air towards him. Um, Meanwhile, Killmonger and Storm search for the Sorcerer Supreme of this universe to help T'Challa understand vibranium. A Black Panther with like psychic control of vibranium is a very interesting idea. I'm interested to
very
see
much
where
so.
this goes. Um, Ultimate Spider-Man number 9. Spider-Man and Green Goblin are attacked by Black Cat, but not the one you think. Black Cat in this universe is Walter Hardy, the father of Felicia Hardy, and
Hmm.
he's one of Kingpin's lieutenants and a part of this universe's Sinister Six, which are being sent after
Mm.
Spider-Man and Green Goblin. And I don't know if I mentioned it before, but Green Goblin is Harry Osborn, and
Ah,
he's a good guy in this universe, at least so far. But he shows signs of turning evil as he's willing to go much further than Peter when it comes to taking out criminals,
I see.
almost killing Black Cat and showing no remorse. Um,
Yeah, I was really confused because I was like, I don't know much about comics. I thought that,
yeah,
but it
Ultimate
makes sense now
Ultimate
that you
Universe has
explained
been
that.
great. Yeah, if you want to just start somewhere with something that you don't need to know nothing, just read Ultimate Spider-Man.
Mm.
It's real good. And yeah, in this universe, he's married to Mary Jane. He's got 2 kids. Like,
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
he's living good. Uncle Ben's alive, but Aunt May's dead.
Oh, isn't it
Yeah,
always one or the
they
other? Like
flipped it.
not.
They flipped it
Mm-mm.
this time. It's very interesting what they're doing. His Uncle Ben works, or he used to work at. I almost said the Daily Planet. This isn't Superman. I was just watching Spectacular Spider-Man, but the Daily Bugle. I was like, why can't I remember the name of that newspaper? I was just watching Spider-Man. um, yeah, it's very fun. And he's best friends with J. Jonah Jameson. It's very interesting.
Oh,
And the
nice.
main universe, by the way. I don't know if it might still be a thing. J. Jonah Jameson's father is dating Aunt May, which goes to show why the hell is his aunt so old? Why is
Yeah.
Spider Man's aunt old enough to be dating J. Jonah Jameson, who's got at least 20 years on Peter, or probably like 30 years on him?
Right.
His father. Why is his aunt so old? I like that they made her younger in the MCU, because I was like, yeah, that's the age his aunt should be.
Right.
um but moving on to Ultimates number 5 was really good. Ultimates is I read these comics when I get them. I usually get Ultimate Black Panther, Spider-Man Ultimates, and having one horn at the same time. And I go in order of the ones I'm most excited to read. So Black Panther's at the top. I
Mm.
don't dislike it, but compared to all of the rest, it's my least favorite. Then Ultimate
Makes sense.
Spider-Man, then Ultimates, then Helen Windhorn. So Ultimates is my second most exciting one to read. Uh, in this issue, we are introduced to the Ultimate Hawkeye.
Mm.
Charlie Ramsey, a non-binary member of the, let me try to pronounce this, Oglala. Oh, let me try one more time. I'm certain that was wrong. Let me read it. Oglaa, Oglala, band of the Lakota Nation, a Native American tribe. Raised by a father who spent his time watching classic Western movies, they grew up resentful of the world around them, especially the treatment of their people by Roxxon energy partners. Charlie discovered the discarded equipment intended for Clint Barton, the original Hawkeye, who ultimately declined the offer to become a hero and join the Ultimates. And he takes the bow and arrows. And here's a message that Tony Stark recorded for Hawkeye, the original, and
Mm.
perceived it as a vision of their destiny. And then they adopted the name Hawkeye. and proceeded to disrupt numerous Roxxon operations. As you can imagine, it's a energy company. They're out there polluting.
Yep.
So Tony sent Captain America to reclaim the equipment since it didn't go to the person it was supposed to. But Captain America, he didn't go there to do that. He went to go see if Charlie was Ultimate's material and determined that he was. So now the Ultimates have a Hawkeye, and it was real good.
Nice.
And the what do you call it, monologue he goes on against Captain America as they're fighting is really cool. And the quiver that Tony made for Hawkeye 3D prints different types of arrows on the fly, which is really cool. So they just
sounds cool.
I don't know how it works, if there's like a button or if it's just like probably some type of mental connection. You just think about what arrow you want, it makes it, and that's really cool. Yeah, they were just going on this big monologue where they like start, they like Western movies. They start talking about Western movies and like cowboys and Indians. And when Captain America first showed up, he pulls his arrow, points it at him, and goes, "Oh, so they sent a cowboy." And I'm like, you got me. That's a good line. That's a good line.
That's fire.
The Native American dude going, "Oh, so they sent a cowboy." That's real fun. But yeah, if you look up Ultimate, never mind. I was gonna say look up Ultimate Hawkeye, but then I remembered the original Ultimate Hawkeye sucks. Let me think. What can you look up to find? You can look up Charlie Ramsey Hawkeye, and you'll find it. Their costume is dope. It's real cool. I just want you to see their costume. But yeah.
Charlie. An I.
Yeah, it is with an I.
Oh, that is sick.
Yeah, it's a cool costume. But moving on to Helen Winhorn, number 5. As we reach a close, or as we reach close to the end of this story, with I think 1 or 2 issues. At one point they said it was going to be 7 issues, but like I think at some point in the comic it said there was 1 left, so I don't know. We'll see. Helen has been banned from traveling to the other world by her grandfather after she was fatally injured, and even after recovering, he still forbids it. So she attempts to go there herself, causing untold trouble for her grandfather in the process. I like this comic a lot. The art by Willa Key Everly is great. Tom King, he's good. He writes good comics. Definitely suggest it. When it all comes out and they like release a volume or something, you should check it out. It's real good.
It just might.
Last, but certainly not least, I didn't get this from Atomic Books because it was sold out by the time I wanted it. But I didn't want to wait too long because I didn't want to get it spoiled for me. So I ordered it online from a different shop, and it came a couple days after it came out on Friday. Well, I got it on Friday. I think it came out like Thursday or Wednesday. And that is Absolute Batman number 1. Speaking of the Ultimate Universe, the Absolute Universe is essentially their version of the Ultimate Universe, but much better than the original Ultimate Universe, but just as good as the current Ultimate Universe. This is easily the best Batman comic I've read in a while, because modern Batman has just not interested me in the slightest. I don't read any Batman comics made from like after 2010.
Makes sense.
It's just the oversaturation and refusal to do anything new just does not interest me. I just read old Batman comics whenever I read Batman.
I get you.
The idea behind the Absolute Universe is to take away a key aspect of a hero, and then write a story about how, even with those changes, they stick to their ideals. I think the second one releasing is Ultimate Wonder Woman, and then Ultimate Superman, and then like March of next year is going to be Ultimate Flash, and then there's also going to be an Ultimate Green Lantern.
Nice.
And with Ultimate Batman, he's poor. So Bruce Wayne in this universe is from a working class family, and his mother is still alive, but his father is dead. Died in a mass shooting in a zoo.
Yikes.
And the second page of the book is a 2-page spread of a hand holding a gun, which is absolutely insane for a Batman comic. It's just, you turn the page and it's just a giant gun and it says Absolute Batman, and I was like, wow.
Wow.
So Bruce in this universe is younger than both of us. He was born in the year of our Lord 2004. He's the same age as my little brothers. He is
insane.
6 feet 6 inches of pure muscle. Like, he's huge. If you look up Absolute Batman, you'll see. So this version of Batman, or Bruce, He got into college on a football scholarship because, like I said, he's 6'6".
Yeah.
But
Oh my god.
yes. So he got into college on a football scholarship because he's a tank. But
Hmm.
he faked an injury so that he could stop playing football, but keep his scholarship and continue to study, but also to save his body and time for training to be the Batman. Um, he studied applied mechanics, chemistry, criminal psychology, military theory, and sociocultural history. Then, when he graduated, he worked in the power
Hmm.
grid, the water department, sanitation, and interned at City Hall, mapping out the city physically and politically. Um,
This
exactly,
this Batman's kind of cracked. This
exactly.
Batman is kind of cracked. I
But
support it though.
settled on a job as a civil engineer because he loves creating, building, and fixing things. That's his jam. Um, and we learn all of this from this universe's Alfred, who's a government agent tasked with taking Batman down, but hesitates because of how young
Oh,
Bruce is. Um, this book's so good.
sounds
It's so
good.
good. Like the way they just break down like the studying he did to become Batman and how he took all of these different jobs across the city so he could just map it out was so cool. I was like, oh my god, this is awesome. Because I mean, in universe, like in the main universe, he's done a lot of other than do all those jobs. He did he studied a lot of similar things in college and stuff. But he just traveled across the world doing these things. And this he did it in college and he came back to the city. Um,
Hmm.
and it's just interesting them going through how he's done this. He also there's these like four super tall buildings in the city that like go above the clouds, and
Ooh.
like the first floors are like bought by like companies, but they aren't used. So he like his bat cave is like on like the top floor of that, or like one of the top floors of that building that are just completely empty. Um,
Wow.
because he helped build the building, so he had access to it. So he just build his all of his stuff is up there. It's so cool. So his costume, right? A lot of people were mad about the bat
Hmm.
symbol, which is not that deep. But what makes the bat symbol cool, even if you don't like it, is that you'll like it because it doubles as the blade of an axe. He attaches a handle to it and then pulls off the bat symbol, and it's an
Wow.
axe. And he did something I did not expect. He does not kill people. They make it clear. But what he
Hmm.
will do is cut off your hand.
Oh.
He cut off someone's hand with the axe. And I'm like, Batman, that man will probably die. I think you just killed
Die
him.
from bleeding out. Yeah.
Because Alfred's watching, right? He's on a roof.
Uh,
His job is to observe these criminals do this thing, and if Batman interrupts it, kill him. Um, Whoever he's working for, we don't know exactly. Tells him like observe these people and then report back. But he's more of an assassin. He's used to killing people. So when they're about to do something that will endanger people's lives, he's like, well,
mhm.
can you tell me to kill him? And they're like, nope, you're just there to watch. So when Batman goes to stop them, even though he's supposed to kill Batman, he doesn't because he doesn't want people to die. So he's letting Batman take care of the criminals. Um,
Right.
and he points out that Batman is doing all of these things very efficiently and effectively without like critically injuring anybody, or at least fatally injuring anybody. They're definitely critically injured,
Critically injured, but
but they're
I think
not.
the medical
They're not gonna die, except for the guy whose hand he cuts off. I'm not sure
cut
about
off.
that one.
Yeah, like that guy is
That
cool.
guy might be dead. He might. We did stop the bleed training not too long ago. I know you can die from blood loss in like 5 minutes. That man might
5
not be
minutes.
making it
Yep.
to the hospital. And he also purposely told the man, "Oh yeah, the hospital is like 3 blocks to the right, or is it to the left? You know what? I don't remember. You're just gonna have to figure it out." And I'm like, Batman, what are you
Man,
doing?
what? I
But
mean, if
like,
I was built like that, right?
but yeah, like, so his cape in this is the coolest it's ever been. Look up Absolute Batman cape and go to images. You'll see what I'm talking about. His cape is fully prehensile with a hook at the end of it that he can
Mhm.
use to grab things, and he can stand on it like bats do with their wings. It is
Oh,
terrifying to
that's
see
sick.
this 6'6" dude standing up on these bat wings and just beating people up. It's horrifying.
I'll tell you what, I wouldn't cause trouble in Gotham City.
Exactly. That's
That would
what
be enough.
everybody who's read this comic is saying. After you cut that man's hand off, it's like, all right, that's it. No more crime.
Yep.
Crime's
Mhm.
over.
No more crime.
You do crime, your hand get cut off. It's like when people used to steal back in the day.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm way more excited for Absolute Wonder Woman and Superman now because this was really good. It's also written by Scott Snyder, who wrote the infamous New 52 Batman with the Court of Owls. So he's goated when it comes to Batman.
Mm.
And this
Mhm.
seems like it might be shaping to be just as good as that. story back from 2011. With the
Nice,
absolute
nice,
Wonder
nice.
Woman and Superman. With Wonder Woman, it's Wonder Woman who wasn't raised by the Amazons. Instead, we don't. At least I don't. I'm not sure they've said like who she was raised by, but she's much more kind of magic focused, which is interesting.
Mm.
And she has a Buster Sword. Look up Absolute Wonder Woman. She
Okay.
legitimately has the Buster Sword from Final Fantasy VII. And she rides like a skeletal unicorn Pegasus thing.
That's
It's yeah.
sick.
Um,
Oh
and,
yeah, this is sick.
and an absolute Superman is a Superman who actually lived on Krypton into adulthood, and then it was destroyed, and then he came to Earth, and his cape is made out of the ashes of Krypton.
That's insane. I'm kind of rocking with this haircut
Yeah,
for him though.
yeah.
It makes him kind of.
I'm reading
He's
like
kind of
in
fun.
Kyle Rayner, Green Lantern. I knew this happened, but I didn't know that it was happening during this time period. But in the '90s, like I think that's when Death of Superman happened, and after he came back to life after he got killed by Doomsday, he had a mullet. So I'm reading Kyle Rayner Green Lantern, and Superman shows up, and he has a mullet, and I'm like, what the hell?
Like mullet Superman.
But I like mullet Superman too, but it just caught me off guard because I forgot that he had a mullet in the '90s, and he just showed up randomly with a mullet, like in his regular costume, but a mullet. It was so random. Like he looks better with the mullet when he's wearing the black costume with no cape. But I feel like cape and mullet, like you one or the other. You can't have both. Um, but the length of his hair in the current Absolute universe is good because the mullet was like down his back, not like super long, but like just
but like
past
a little,
like past the neck. And I like that combined with the cape is just too much flowing back there.
Yeah.
But yeah. It was Absolute Flash will be about the GOAT, Wally West, the superior Flash. And
Hot take.
basically it'll just be like, what is Kid? Well, he's not Kid Flash. He'll just be the Flash because Barry Allen doesn't exist, and I think we don't know for sure, but probably Jake Eric also doesn't exist. So basically, it'll be like a Spider-Man situation where he gets super speed and he's like 16 years old, and he doesn't have any mentors. He doesn't have his Uncle Barry Allen. He's just the Flash by himself now, and he has to figure it out. And that is what I'm most excited for because I love the Flash. But Absolute Batman is also great. It sucks that I'm gonna have to wait 2 months to read it, not because it's gonna take 2 months for the next issue to come out, but because I wanted to own the first issue, but I don't plan on purchasing any more of it. Just to save money because I don't care to. And I subscribe to their subscription service, but you're always a month behind, so that they try to get you to buy it physically if you want to keep up. But I'm willing to wait that extra month to save some money because otherwise, it's a subscription service that's like the equivalent. I pay for it yearly, but it's probably like the equivalent of like $10 a month or like $12 a month versus $4 per comic every month, which is like that would be insane because I read like 10 comics that are currently ongoing. So that'd be a lot of money. I'd be spending like $50 on comics every month. So yeah, subscription service is far cheaper for me.
Makes sense.
But moving on to TV and film. Oh boy, we're an hour in. Just because I feel like my comic book sections have been getting longer and longer every week.
It's a good thing though, because I don't really read many comics, so I don't have anything to talk about.
See, we're gonna have to have like a book club. Like I'm thinking like that would be fun to have like you and maybe some other people read some comics, like something short and easy. Like I don't know, read like Batman Year One, and then we all talk about it. That'd be real fun. Just start getting people who don't read comics into comics. That'd be fun. Like what is it?
Yeah.
I remember my Bree, who was on here, helped rebrand the Mustard Cast. Has been thinking about getting into some comics. I'm like, it'd be interesting to have a little book club starting with like some shorter comics and then slowly get longer.
Yeah, because I really liked Aquaman and Andromeda.
Yeah,
I really liked it. It was my first like comic that I think I've ever read, and I really liked it. So I want to get more into them. It's just finding where to start.
Okay, I already have ones that I like would be really fun, like Batman Year One, Wonder Woman Historia. Those would be really good, and those are really short. So, yeah, TV and film. We got another trailer for Nosferatu, which I'm excited for. I found out who's playing Nosferatu, which I'm not gonna tell you because I don't know. Maybe it would ruin the reveal because you know what this person looks like, but because like they hide the monster, which is great. They don't show you what Nosferatu looks like, and I think I might start avoiding the trailers because I'm scared that might change at some point. Because like I'm you got me. I'm in. I'm sold. So I don't need to see any more trailers. So I think I'm just gonna avoid trailers from here on out because I don't want them to spoil what he looks like. And before it comes out, you know what? But probably since it's October, before the month is over, I'll probably check out the original Nosferatu, which I didn't know until recently when it was screening up at the theater on North Avenue. I forget what it's called, Parkway.
Mm.
Which I could have went to go see it because I live up the street. I could like it's literally I could just walk there. um, but I didn't because I just wanted to chill. And it's on I think Peacock. And even if it's not, it's on like Amazon and YouTube. Which again, fuck YouTube because YouTube sucks now. When it comes to watching movies, but like. Yeah, I didn't know it was a silent film. That's what I'm getting to. This is why this podcast is getting longer. It's a silent film. That's what I was trying to say. And I went on a tangent. And I didn't know that. So I'm interested in watching that. Nosferatu used to creep the hell out of me. He still does, low key.
Really?
He just looks creepy. Or well, actually I learned that's also not the name of the monster. Nosferatu just means vampire.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, I'm learning so much. So like, yeah, I'm excited to watch the movie. It looks good. Yeah, it comes out on Christmas Day. So who knows? Maybe I'll make it a family outing. Go see it with my mom, my sister, my aunt, my cousin. We'll see.
Nosferatu for Christmas. Crazy.
But also next month, January. Not the literal next month, not November, but next month after Nosferatu in January 17th, is the Wolfman. So we watched a trailer for this a while back. You probably don't remember because I also didn't remember until I watched the trailer. I was like, oh, wait, I've seen this before. But I sent you the most recent trailer. And so it is described as what if someone you loved became something else? From Blumhouse and visionary writer-director Leigh Whannell, the creators of the chilling modern monster tale The Invisible Man, which have you seen that? The most recent Invisible Man movie?
I haven't.
It's really good, which makes me really excited about this because I like werewolf movies. Comes a terrifying new lupine nightmare, Wolfman. Golden Globe nominee Christopher Abbott, Poor Things, It Comes at Night, stars as Blake, a San Francisco husband and father who inherits his remote childhood home in rural Oregon after his own father vanishes and is presumed dead. With his marriage to his high-powered wife, Charlotte, Emmy winner Julia Gardner, fraying, Blake persuades Charlotte to take a break from the city and visit the property with their young daughter, Ginger. But as the family approaches the farmhouse in the dead of night, they're attacked by an unseen animal and in a desperate escape barricade themselves inside the home as the creature prowls the perimeter. As the night stretches on, however, Blake begins to behave strangely, transforming into something unrecognizable, and Charlotte will be forced to decide whether the terror within their house is more lethal than the danger without. Yeah. We get vampires and then we get werewolves? Is this good for us? I was originally, when I was writing it, I was going to write monster lovers, and then I realized that implies something else, which isn't inaccurate description of me, but also I meant monster movie lovers.
Right.
So like, yeah, we'll be eating good. I'm excited for that. So there was an announcement of a movie titled The Dynamic Duo, produced by Matt Reeves and James Gunn, not set in a Reeves DC universe. Dynamic Duo will follow Dick Grayson and Jason Todd as orphan thieves who call themselves the Dynamic Duo and will use a cross between CGI animation, stop motion, and live action real-time performances. James Gunn tweeted, over the moon excited to announce the newest DC studio / Warner Brothers Pictures animation greenlit film for theaters, Dynamic Duo. That's a mouthful. Why did he write it like that? The story of Robin, or should I say Robins, as in Dick Grayson and Jason Todd. The first feature film from the visionary Sway Box, a mix of animation, puppetry, and CGI. A script from the wonderfully talented Matt Aldrich, produced with our partners at Matt Reeves, 6th in Ohio. This is something special. This is an interesting premise. And kind of mixing all these mediums is also really fun. It's not in like the Matt Reeves, the Batman universe was like the Batman and the Penguin show, but there wasn't a confirmation if it wasn't in like the new DC universe, but presumably not. So it might just be its own thing, which is cool that like DC is just doing that, you know, just making things outside of the connected universe. Now, yeah, it sounds fun, you know. Finally, we're gonna get some Robin. Like Robin is so important to Batman, and we have not had Robin in a live action Batman movie since the 90s. Like, Robin was created 2 years after Batman. Batman has had a Robin for the vast majority of his existence. Like Green Arrow, who in his initial creation was essentially a carbon copy of Batman, but with a bow and arrow, and combined with Robin Hood, of course. Because of like Batman and Robin, the moment that Green Arrow was created, he immediately had Speedy. Speedy was created alongside Green Arrow. Like they because they were like it's like Batman and Robin. And like when people think of like the world's finest, which is the team up between Batman and Superman, they just think of Batman and Superman. But in almost every single one of those comics is Superman, Batman, and Robin. So like yeah, Robin is so important, and it's just been a very long time since we've seen him in live action.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm excited for this. Even though this is a mix between several different things, and hopefully he shows up. Well, we know that the Batman movie in the DCU, the first one, is going to be focusing on Damian Wayne. So if Damian Wayne, who is the fifth Robin, exists, that means that there have been 4 other people before him who were Robin. So we're gonna get all the Robins, literally. A lot of people don't know this, but the third person to hold the Batgirl mantle, Stephanie Brown, was also the 4th person to hold the Robin mantle. She's the only person to be both Batgirl and Robin.
Oh wow!
So yeah, now she goes by what is it, Spoiler, which I think she originally went by Spoiler. Then she was Robin. Then she was Batgirl. But stick on the DC train. We got some updates on casting for the Green Lantern show. Aaron Pierre was cast as Jon Stewart, and a lot of people are understandably upset at the casting because he's just joined a long list of light skinned actors taking on dark skin roles. So if you look up Aaron Pierre, you'll see. And it sucks extra hard because Jon Stewart was not DC's first black hero, and his creator Denny O'Neil specifically wanted him to be dark skinned. And if I'm not mistaken, he was DC's first black hero. And yeah, I get why people are upset. And I actually plan on reading the series he debuted in that was written by Denny O'Neil, which was in a Green Arrow, Green Lantern crossover series. Because I'm reading literally both characters right now. I'm also planning on reading that eventually. But yeah, like I said, despite all that, it actually his casting doesn't bother me because I think that he actually does look the part physically. Like I think just when I look at him and I look at the way he looks in the comics, I'm like, other than being louder than a lot of people want him to be, I actually think he looks the part. And if James Gunn says he killed it in his audition, which he tweeted out, then like yeah, I trust him. So what will make me upset is if this continues to be a trend like it has been, like with characters like Storm, where like both of the women who have played Storm in live action were both light skinned, and if characters like Black Lightning, Vixen, Bumblebee from the Titans aren't dark skinned, then I'm be upset. But here's the thing: we do have. I don't know. I feel like something that gives me hope that I actually just remembered is that Mr. Terrific is going to be in Superman. He is played by a dark skinned man. That gives me hope that it isn't a precedent. Like a precedent has not been set. That John Pierre is the exception. Because the first black superhero that we have cast in the DCEU was Mr. Terrific, and we've seen him. He's a dark-skinned black man. So hopefully this isn't a regular thing. And 2 characters especially that need to be dark-skinned are Black Lightning and Vixen. Like I feel like if either of them, especially Black Lightning, who's meant to be this, like everything about him is surrounded by black power, so having that character be light skin kind of like flies in the face of that in a lot of ways. So it's like as long as those 2 characters are dark skinned, I'm good, if I'm being honest. This doesn't bother me as much, but I do understand why it bothers so many people because it's been happening for so long. And hopefully this outrage will have James Gunn and the DC Studios casting directors rethink how they cast for the major black roles in the DCEU going forward. But moving on to the Penguin. So at the end of HBO shows, they do like this inside the episode. We have the people work on the episode talk about that specific episode. And I started watching them for this show. I usually skip them for every other show I watch on HBO. But this one I started watching them, and in this one they discuss how Salvador Maroni, one of the crime bosses in Gotham, married an Iranian woman and replaced his entire Italian mob with the Persian mob. And I thought that was a very interesting take on that character that isn't the case usually. Usually it's just Italian. And they also talk about how instead of using real guns with blanks, which could still kill people, they decided to put camera flashes, something that creates something similar to a camera flash at the end of the gun muzzle. So when they pulled the trigger, it would trigger the light, so it would still get that effect that they're looking for, but without the risk. And I thought that was really cool and needs to be implemented everywhere now.
That is cool, yeah.
And also the gun still moves in the way that a gun would when you fire it. So it's like this solution has been around for a while in terms of like, yeah, you can make a gun that when you pull the trigger, it moves like a gun but doesn't fire anything, and instead just have a light flash. Like, it's a very simple solution that I'm sure has been around for a long time, and people have just decided not to do it for some weird reason and like start doing that instead of using real guns. It's completely unnecessary to use a real gun. It's not like you're actually shooting people, and you don't want to make a mistake and do that, like has happened recently. So like, yeah, like just don't use real guns. Use fake guns. But moving on to the last segment. If you don't have anything in TV and film.
Nope.
Yeah, so moving on to video games. I don't have a lot. And honestly, half of the stuff I just straight up didn't look up stuff for, because I was just like, you know what? I actually meant to take it out completely. I forgot to watch the trailer for it, but this is a game called Date Everything, where like a bunch of a bunch of objects are like anthropomorphized and like have like you could date them, like household objects. And I know one of them, like a toaster specifically, is voiced by Ben Starr, who voices Clive in Final Fantasy 16, and like they all have their like sexy versions of themselves, and I'm like, this is a strange thing that exists, but it's interesting. It's like a dating sim.
Dating sim that came out a little while ago.
Yeah,
it's
a wild thing.
Truly something.
I'll probably watch the trailer after this, but I think I might have sent you a trailer for like this Fortnite cross Ninja Turtles for devs thing, where there Fortnite has like this kind of dev mode where you can create levels and stuff, and they're essentially giving people the tools to make a Ninja Turtle game. Because I remember saying like they have all this cool stuff in their game that I'm like, Epic literally do anything else. Like, Fortnite's cool and all, it's not my jam, but like I get it, people like it. Do literally anything else. You have all these really cool ideas that I think would make good games on their own, and like they do give people the tools to take those things and actually do something interesting with it. So I would be interested to see what type of like Ninja Turtle games people make with these tools that they put out there, with a bunch of like props from Ninja Turtles and all the Ninja Turtles costumes and stuff like that.
For sure.
It's weird that Casey Jones is in the game. They got April, they got Splinter, they got Shredder, they got all 4 turtles, but no Casey Jones. What's up with the disrespect? Give me my man Casey.
Right.
So the first Berserker Kazan looks cooler the more I see it, but then I hear more about it and then I like it less. When I first like added it to my notes, I was like, oh, this looks cool. But then I like, there were like some previews where they talked about it. I was like, never mind. Every time I see something that looks like a hack and slash, it turns out to be more like a Souls game. And I'm like, I hate everything. Why can't we just have hack and slashes? Why does everything have to be a Souls like? Okay, I've said it once, I'll say it again, I'll say it 1,000 times. Souls combat is not the peak of action combat, goddammit.
It's actually kind of boring, all things
considered. It is getting very boring, because that's what everything is now, and I hate it.
You reminded me, I started playing this game called Salt and Sanctuary, right? It's really good. It's supposed to be like Blasphemous-esque, right?
That game came out a while back.
Yeah, I know.
There's a sequel. I forget what the sequel's called, but it has a similar name.
Salt and Sacrifice.
Yeah.
But yeah, I started playing Salt and Sanctuary, right? I was enjoying it up until I got to the first boss, and guess what? It's got Souls-like combat. I'm like, if this is supposed to be,
I mean, so does Blasphemous.
A Blasphemous, but like Blasphemous is a little different with it, Like, it feels more like Castlevania than it does like a Souls-like. This one has got like the dodge rolling and stuff like that in a 2D space, and I'm like,
yeah, that's true.
It makes sense.
Because like Blasphemous has like a dash, but not like a roll.
Yeah, like not like a dodge. It's weird, and I don't know if I really enjoy it, and it makes me sad because I was really excited to play it.
Yeah, there was that other. I can't remember what it's called. I think it might have started like a W, but like it was another like Metroidvania kind of like almost more like along the lines of, in terms of aesthetic, like that gothic aesthetic. That I can't remember what it was called. That looked more like a Castlevania style game that I thought you would have liked. I sent you a trailer for a long time ago. I can't remember what it was called. It wasn't Ender Lilies.
Was it? It wasn't?
No, I can't remember what it's called. I would have to find it. But yeah. Tired of Souls games.
Yeah.
Even though I'm only just getting into them. I'm tired that I can't find anything other than them in terms of the action space.
For sure.
So Assassin's Creed Shadow got delayed to February 14th, removing the game I was most excited for to play like the end of this year. Now all I got left is like goddamn Life is Strange, which I'm excited for, but like, I mean Metaphor, but like, who knows what I'm gonna play Metaphor?
Right.
it might be 10 years before I play Metaphor. Okay, I don't know when I'm gonna play that game, and then because see my mind's racing because I'm like, okay, I'm gonna finish Persona 3, and then I'm gonna play Metaphor, meaning once again, only God knows when I'm gonna play Persona 5 Royal at that point. And
Right.
then once I get to Persona 5 Royal, this is a big F. There's a chance I might not finish any of these games. But like
And
when I
that's real.
if I get there, then I want to play Persona 4. By the time I decide I want to play Persona 4, they'll probably be releasing the remake of Persona 4 if I'm being honest.
Yeah, you might as
But
well just wait.
I might as well wait because I already got a lot of games in terms of that franchise to play. So like
Hmm.
they're gonna remake 4. There's no way they're not because as far as I can tell,
Right.
Reload's doing really well.
Reload did really good.
And
Yeah.
like who knows if they'll go back and like remake the first two, but at the very least they're definitely
Mm.
going to do 4, especially if they're not going to do the first two. That means they only have one other game to remake, and that's the fourth one.
Right.
But it'll probably be a while because
People.
they'll probably make 6 before they remake 4.
And
So
people love 4
it'll probably
for
be
some reason.
like 6 years before they remake that. Who knows? It'll be a while. From my understanding, from my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, I would have to look it up. The teams like has been split in two. And
I
like
believe so. Yeah.
the original people who made like the Persona franchise are essentially like completely stepping away from Persona, and they're going to make Persona style games like Metaphor, but not.
Hmm.
But they're no longer working in Persona specifically. Um, and instead, the people that they essentially have been building up a team to continue the Persona franchise, starting with Royal. The people that worked
Right.
on Royal and then made Reload are going to be the people going forward that work on Persona. Which there's some fear there of like maybe it won't be as good.
Mhm.
Because the original creators aren't working on it anymore. But I hope it's still good. And even if it isn't, the other team will still be making similar games. I'd love for them to step into like college instead of high school. That'd be really fun.
Yeah.
It offer a wider range of like um
Activities and stuff.
of like what do you call them, party members, because
Yeah.
college age people could be any age. They could be an old person, they could be a young person. It could be someone fresh out of high school, it could be someone in their early 30s, someone in their mid 20s, someone in their 60s. It could be a real interesting party of like a very people in different points in their lives, people of various different races. It's when these games all take place in Japan in high school, you could have people of different races, but I'm not upset about it because it makes sense that they would all be Japanese. But you could, well, sometimes in some cases sometimes they're mixed. But like when it's college, you could just straight up have like some black party members or like some South Asian party members, stuff like that. That could be real fun.
Yeah.
But
And then also, I think that's kind of the direction they're trying to go in based on the Chinese Persona 5 gacha game. I don't know if you've heard about it.
I haven't.
But yeah, there's a Persona 5 gacha that has its own story and all this stuff. It's a Chinese exclusive, but like the party is super diverse there, at least for Persona standards. There's like an older woman in the party, stuff like that. And so it feels like they're going in that direction, hopefully. Fingers crossed. But I would like to see them do a little more.
Yeah. Um, who knows? I don't really need them to branch out of school specifically. Just I feel like branching into college enough would be enough of a change.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe even I'm not sure if like is being in Japan as integral to the story. Maybe because they have all been in Japan, so it's like maybe they stay in Japan. But like since they're making games outside of Persona now, the original team, I was thinking like, what if they make a game that takes place in like an office? Or like maybe what if they made a game that's like Persona, but it's in like you are a game dev and like you're
That would be
working
fun.
in a game dev studio and like you're being sucked into like a video game world. That would be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Similar like the
That
TVs
would
and
be
4. That would be cool.
Yeah.
But this started from us talking about Assassin's Creed. um, yeah, that's not coming out this year anymore, so I might play Metaphor.
Oh.
But also, it's coming out Valentine's Day, and there's a rumor that there may be co-op functionality, and that's why it was delayed.
Ooh.
That may not be why it was delayed, but there is rumor that that's happening, which is interesting. There's 2 characters in this game, so maybe there'll be a mode where you can play as one. You can play as one, as might play as the other. That could be interesting. That could be fun. We'll see.
That sounds fun.
It could either be really good or it could ruin the game. We'll see. But 2 more things before we I take that back. Three more things before we wrap
Okay.
up. Starting with AAA Avatar: The Last Airbender RPG is in the early stages of production. Um, finally, just finally, because why? Why has it been so long? It would be made
Okay.
by Saber Interactive, known
Mhm.
for World War Z and the Evil Dead game. So nothing that gives me particular hope that this will be a good game, but the same could have and was said about NetEase, who made mostly mobile games, but they are now making Marvel Rivals. So
Mhm. Mhm.
we could be surprised. They also could just hire a bunch of new people that are really talented.
Yeah.
According to IGN, it'll put players in the role of an all-new, never-before-seen avatar and take place thousands of years in the past, which is a very smart decision. Because people want to play as the avatar, but then you got to be like, okay, how does this fit in a timeline? Well, there's been
Right.
a lot of avatars, so just make one up. According to Paramount and Saber, players can expect to be immersed in a vibrant world, master all four elements, engage in dynamic combat alongside companions, and experience the challenges and decisions that come with being the keeper of balance in the world. It adds
Hmm.
that story wise, it'll feature elements both new and familiar to fans of the franchise. And yeah, it sounds promising, but I'll have to see it to believe it.
Yeah. Yeah. Same.
I'm wondering if I should do Astro Bot or Snake Eater last.
I think you should do Snake Eater.
Yeah.
No, Astro Bot last because I think it feels like you'd have the most to say about it because you just finished it recently.
See, the thing is, I don't.
Mm,
But I'm gonna say it for last anyway, because at the top I said it would be last.
got you.
So there was a dev interview for people working on Snake Eater Remake, and we got a lot of very promising information revealed. I pulled all of this from Kuwabara357 on Twitter. Um, and they say almost all Easter eggs and gimmicks from Metal Gear Solid 3 OG will return to Metal Gear Solid Delta, which is interesting because there's a point in the
Hmm.
game that was cut out of the version of the game that was released called I think Subsistence that added third person camera, controllable third person
Mhm.
camera versus the fixed camera, where there was essentially another game in the game that was like some hack and slash that was like a canceled game, but they shoved it in as like this fun little thing that you can interact with in the original game, but they cut it out. So maybe they're adding that back into this, which I never got the chance to experience it because it wasn't in the version that I played. So I'd be interested to finally experience that and all of its you know HD glory.
That makes sense.
So they also say that the game is remade from scratch. As well. Characters as well as facial animations are created using data read from facial movements via facial capture. And Kurikata confirmed that there will be two games in one, Legacy Style and Modern Style, and that they both have different AI and cannot be changed mid game. Legacy Style will have the AI of MGS3 Original. So something I talked about when relatively early on when they started showing a lot more gameplay was I was a little bit upset that it was essentially the same game in a lot of ways, and I was afraid that the AI wasn't going to be different. But this confirms that the AI is different. They did upgrade the AI, thank God. But if you play in Legacy Style with the fixed camera, you are. It's very interesting. They basically made two games. You can just straight up play this game the way
Mhm.
that it was originally made.
Hmm.
Um, or you could play it, as it's meant to be in terms of remake style with the over the shoulder camera. And that's dope as hell. And now I kind of want them to do it with every single remake. And I know that's unfair and probably unrealistic and it's probably not going to happen. But you did it once and now I want you to do it every time. You did this
Yep,
to
makes
yourself. I'm
sense.
sorry. You shouldn't have done it if you didn't want it to happen again. Now when you remake Metal Gear Solid 1, I need a version where I can play it just like the first one with the fixed camera. If you don't do it, I'm going to be upset now. This is your fault. You did this to yourself. But they also said that more remakes are to arrive, which was expected, especially if this does really well, which I expect it will. Which will require a lot of work. They specifically mentioned Metal Gear MSX, the original two games, and Metal
Ooh.
Gear Solid 1, which is insane. And they say that if they are the ones that they choose, the structure of Metal Gear Solid Delta will not apply because, like I said before, remaking Metal Gear Solid 1 would require a lot more work than remaking Metal Gear Solid 3, because Metal Gear Solid 3 is much closer to a modern game in the way that it plays versus Metal Gear Solid 1, which is a PS1 game. So the fact that they brought up Metal Gear Solid, the MSX games specifically, which I, in the last time we had this conversation, completely ruled out that they would remake those games at all, completely changes my mind now. Now I'm almost like, okay, they're probably going to remake the original Metal Gear games, which chronologically take place before Metal Gear Solid 1, before they do Metal Gear Solid 1, which has me really excited. Because with those games, they will basically have to make new games. So now I'm like, okay, now we're going to see what this team is made of after they do this. Like, I honestly wouldn't, because my mind was like they would get there eventually, but it would be after remaking Metal Gear Solid 1, 2, and 4. That way they build up a lot of experience making Metal Gear games. And that way they feel a lot more comfortable making a brand new Metal Gear game, which they would essentially have to do with the remake of the original games. But now it sounds like that might not be the case. So, we'll see. Let's see. They also discuss, future Mass Collection volumes, saying a mission to preserve Metal Gear for the future. Okamura and Kurikata, directors on the game, reiterate that it is their mission to preserve Metal Gear by putting all games playable on modern consoles and PC for future generations. They realized that a lot of people didn't know about Metal Gear, so that's their main reason. And, it saddens me to hear, but, it is true. It's a weird game franchise where it's incredibly popular for people who know about it, but, like, it's in this weird in-between space where it's both incredibly popular and incredibly unknown at the exact same time. It's really weird.
Yeah.
Like, so many people know of it, but not a lot of people have played it because it's just been hard to get access to them. But now they're making it a lot easier, which is dope. I think we talked about last episode or episode before that, like how they mentioned, like, hey, we're like trying to figure out how to get Metal Gear Solid 4 onto modern consoles because it's currently stuck on PS3. So, like, that's exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah. And lastly, they said Metal Gear Solid Delta is fully playable from start to finish. In terms of, the dev cycle, the game's like done, but now they're polishing it.
Right.
And we want to finish it properly and announce it once it is in a state where it can be firmly confirmed. So it's probably not coming out this year. But maybe at the latest, probably spring next year, 2025. So I want to be surprised. I want them to just be like, and it's coming out December. But, that's probably not going to happen. But I'm so excited for this. I'm really excited. And maybe you'll play this one and enjoy it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm enjoying the one that I'm playing right now, which names escape me. But it's just really hard. I'm struggling. I might turn the difficulty down, and I think I'll get a lot more enjoyment out of it.
It's an old game. I don't it could be tough getting into that.
I was gonna say, yeah, it's like I went into it like I'm a big dog. I can play it on normal mode. No.
But last but certainly not least, Astro Bot. I finished it. It was great. So I want you to look up on YouTube and just like play it with no volume. Astro Bot in credits.
A 10-minute credit sequence is crazy.
Yeah. So.
Oh, there's a Vid Ribbon one. That's cute.
So the end credits are fully playable. You just platform around as the names pop up, and you jump on like memory cards from the PlayStation 1, and then the names pop up, and yeah, it's really cool.
Clever.
Yeah, this was just a really fun platformer, and like low key, I think like more games should have playable end credits. But low key, sometimes when you get to the end of the game, you don't want to play the game anymore. You just want to sit the controller down and let the credits play.
Like, release me.
That's because I'm like, you know what? If every game did this, I'd be annoyed actually. But
yeah. Because Bayonetta does it, but the thing is, the end, because like you get to fight a little more in the end credits, and they count for your like ranking overall in the game.
That makes sense because Devil May Cry does the same thing.
Okay, I see. It's Platinum Games thing then.
Yeah, that's definitely a Kamiya invented thing.
I think that Kamiya should stop making video games because no, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Kamiya needs to stay off Twitter is what he needs to do.
That also.
He needs to just delete his account and
he needs to be stopped.
Yeah. But yeah, it's a great game. I don't have much to say because it's just a platformer. What more can I say? You jump around, you jump on platforms. That's the game. And if you've seen it, you know what it's like. It's fun. I highly suggest it. Whenever you get a PlayStation 5, when a PlayStation 6 comes out, it's probably when you're gonna get PS5.
Not
play
too
this
much
game.
for me.
you, um, if they decreased the price when the Pro came out, maybe you would have got one.
Yeah, like
maybe
it's
you would have waited instead of getting the PS4. But
right,
PlayStation sucks
but
right now.
yeah,
But despite how much they suck, the studio that made this game, Team Asobi,
it's really
they're pretty good. Smaller team than I expected. Because when I was playing the credits, I was like, these credits have to be short because credits in video games be long. Oh my god!
yeah.
Because so many people work on, especially AAA games. Like so many people
Mm-hmm.
work on these games. The credits are like in. Let me tell you something. Cyberpunk 2077, right? This isn't even the end of the game. This is the end of the DLC. The credits are playing because the DLC takes
Oh
place
wow.
before the end of the game. So I'm finishing up the DLC before I finish the game proper. And the
Mm-hmm.
credits playing this incredible like the Phantom Liberty DLC is like James Bond inspired. So it has this really dope James Bond inspired like end credits theme. It's called Phantom Liberty. You should listen to it. It's really good. It's
Mm-hmm.
actually sung by the same person that sings the end credits for Edge Runners. Uh,
Oh,
it's really good. And
wow.
the song plays, and the song's over, and the credits are still going. And then the
Mm.
song plays, I swear to you, like 5 more times. And I
That
was
is
like,
insane.
it's a good song. I, on my own time, my own personal time, listen to it on repeat. But like in that
Mm-hmm.
moment, I was like, I need
It
these
is like
credits to end.
immediately.
Because I don't like to
Yeah,
skip them. I
again,
like to just let them play. So I was just like, I just got to get up and go do something else while these credits play because they're not ending.
right. And it's like again to bring up Bayonetta. So Bayonetta has 2 different credit sequence. No, 3 actually. So there's the initial one where you have to like do fighting, you get ranks. There's the second one, which is the most awkward strip dance I've ever seen in my entire life. This is in 1 and 2, by the way. And then there's a third credit sequence for the translators that's just a credits roll. There's no interactive element to it at all.
Yeah, the way Devil May Cry
And it's
5 did it was like the beginning of the credits. You had to fight,
mm,
but then at a certain point it stopped, and then it was just credits.
yeah, no, Bayo has like 3 separate credit sequences, and I'm like, okay, all right, I get it, okay, and you can't skip them. I tried.
Insanity. Absolute insanity.
Insanity.
But yeah, Astro Bot's great. Like you said, 10-minute credits because the team's smaller than I thought, but they did a good job.
Mm.
But that's all I got. If you don't have anything else,
Oh, that's all I got.
I'm Dijon. You can find my ad above me. Aiara's ad above them. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel if you want to see more storytelling content, and to click the notification bell so that you're notified when we post. Peace.